So my name is Chris Abosian. Up with me, I have Arnold Hill and Fabio Torres. And together, we're going to be doing sort of our cloud-based technologies. Stay over here. I walked too much. So my part of the presentation is about basically being able to do remote work, as we've all sort of gotten used to in the last few years, but in a testing environment. So why is something like this important? One reason why we've already been doing this for a little over 10 years is, as you all know, today's vehicles generate massive amounts of data. So, we used to be megabytes to gigabytes. Now we have cloud-hosted instances that are generating multiple terabytes of data per day, just on one fleet. In a post-COVID world, everyone's used to remote work, which has enabled remote testing. So remote test benches, remote test vehicles. And it's sort of just become the expectation now that everything should be in your hand or at your fingertips. So why not remote test equipment? We have a new set of data loggers, a new set of test tools, and with upcoming technology improvements in cellular data like 5G, we can now do all of this in a live sense, and also being able to do all these uploading of vehicles over massive data sets. So with all of this, obviously there needs to be value add, right? So you've already got pretty much anything you want to be connected to the internet, right? If you're a smart home nerd like I am, every appliance in my house is basically controlled via the internet. Anything from lights, the blinds, coffee machines, drives my wife nuts, but I love all of it. So, why not be able to do that with your work? So we offer cloud-based solutions to do just that. We can view data remotely, we can control data loggers remotely, and we can manage test fleets remotely. So what does all that mean? You can deploy a set of, whether it's data loggers, test tools, into vehicles, into benches, and via websites, control all of that. Change what the data loggers are doing. Automatic upload of data. See where your test vehicles are on a Google Maps display. Even so far as in what we in the next presentation of monitoring things live, viewing driving tracks, viewing signals. So no more chasing down fleet cars to manually extract data. The location doesn't matter. You can have a test fleet in China. You can be sitting at an office in Troy, Michigan. View that data. And then once you have all that data, you identify issues. You can instantly share it. Well, I'm signed out of Zoom. So being able to just generate links, generate signal plots, all web-based, all shareable, makes better use of the test vehicles and the test benches we have. So how does Intrepid help you do all this? We've had a web-based solution in wirelessneovi.com that I've talked about every year at this event, basically since 2012. That's still our foundational software that runs. We have grown that over the years to do more than just, get your data. We have our DataSpy web tool, which we've had for a long time, which is web-based plotting tool, which there's a presentation on later today, and I'll briefly show in my demo, as well as the integrated post analysis that we have. And then what I'm really excited about is our newly launched WiVI Analytics. So if you were here last year, I did talk about what WiVI Analytics was going to be. Over that past year, it's grown to where we actually have customer implications now. It's a launch product, and it's what Carl and Fabio will be demonstrating. So with all that, and our new hardware. So that's also in the back, but we are shipping now neoVI Red 2, neoVI Fire 3, which is our newest hardware in a sense of vehicle interface tool and data logger with remote connection capabilities via Wi-Fi, cellular, GPS. So on to the demo. And I have only a 10-minute window here. So if you're not familiar with wirelessneovi.com, this is wirelessneovi.com. This is my login. This is just one of our internal demo servers. So our QA department, sales engineers, everyone kind of uses this. But what you see here is sort of a fleet management dashboard. On the left side, you have different identified fleets, and in those fleets, different identified vehicles. This big bulk screen in the middle is basically every single vehicle that's ever been on this server. So let's just scroll down here and pick a vehicle. So what this is showing me is the dashboard for that vehicle. And within that, you have a data archive. In that data archive is everything that this vehicle would have uploaded. Being this is a demo, this is all generated, fake data. But right in here, you can come in, download data. You can export data. So we support basically any automotive format that's out there, anywhere from like a CSV file, an SQLite DB file, MDF, VLF, RVSB format, MATLAB. So you can pick and choose what you want your data sets in. But we also have tools to view data. So what you'll always get is the ability to view location. Let's see if I got one that's got, so here we go. I got one in Australia right here. So you'll always be able to view location. This is actually at one of our representative offices outside Melbourne, Australia. You'll always be able to view what the data logger's been doing in its activity log. And then you'll always have control of the logger. So on this particular one, this is a neoVI Ion. It's telling you it's connected via LAN Ethernet, its IP address, and then what it's actively doing. So this particular one is not running a data logger set, so it's not actively logging anything. You can see its configuration right here. So that's a downloadable file that opens in Vehicle Spy. And then you have controls. So you're able to send scripts, firmware updates, OTA updates, all via this web-based GUI. We also have remote flash capabilities. So being that it's a connected tool to your vehicle networks and connected via the internet, we do have an OTA interface as well, where you could actually upload flash files and flash vehicles remotely. And then, like I mentioned, the activity log here. And then everything is set up in your Vehicle Spy configuration. You are choosing what you want to log, the frequency of the logging, the trigger conditions, and also how you want to upload that data. If you've got data sets that you deem critical, you need them immediately, you can pick and choose, okay, I want to upload this set over cellular and maybe these larger data sets when I get connected to Wi-Fi, back at a garage or at home, for example. And that pretty much is my time. Now the exciting part is coming next, and that is how we are now taking all of your data and visualizing it and doing automated analytics. So I'll let Carl take over, and they're going to show you how we visualize our data.
Okay, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So my name is Cole Hills. I actually work for Intrepid Control Systems Europe. Prior to that, I spent over 10 years working in an OEM in R&D quality. So those two positions have actually given us a bit of a unique insight into, like Chris just showed you, the WiVI system. So in Europe, over 70% of our OEM customers are actually WiVI customers. And having come from spending 10 years at an OEM, one thing that I know that we spend the majority of our time doing is generating reports. So I imagine almost everybody here on a yearly basis has KPIs, spends a lot of their time creating metric reports in order for you to start understanding the clarity of the data and the clarity or the metrics of the jobs that you do. So Chris has just done a great presentation that we've got this WiVI capabilities that our products are uploading huge and vast amounts of data. But the real value comes when we actually look through that data and find the needles in a haystack. The ability to actually track and trace what's actually being handled or being completed with the vehicles is where the value really gets added. So working with our WiVI customers, we found that one of the issues that we started to very quickly identify was that once they've uploaded all that data, a vast amount of time was actually spent downloading that data and then doing post analysis or running it through some sort of metric handling so they can generate weekly, monthly, quarterly reports towards management or towards the OEMs themselves. That was really clear for us, and that was something that we wanted to support, you as customers, to make sure that we can get a bit of efficiency. So we did a little bit of research. We found that typically OEM engineers spend on average 33% of their time generating KPI metric reports. So it's quite a high efficiency in our day-to-day working operation. From that, about 20% of that is actually spent downloading and uploading data just in order to create these reports. So one of the things that we wanted to do was work on analytics. Analytics is kind of the key to everything. Analytics allows us to find that needle in a haystack. So what type of KPIs are our typical OEMs running? Anyone that's a technical lead for a particular ECU, anybody that works in quality, anybody that's in calibration, you're constantly running through all your metric data to try and identify trends. So that's what we spend on average 23% of our time doing. Grabbing the trends, putting them into reports, and spend a lot of time in Excel or a whole array of other sort of post-processing capabilities. So having grown WiVI to the phase that they've got, where we're actually uploading terabytes of data on a daily basis with some of our large OEM customers, we wanted to find an efficient way to work through that. And that's quite a challenge. So one of the things we needed to do was to work on a stack. By working on a stack, it would enable you then, as the customers, to have some autonomy over the things you want to do. We don't want you having to have that time wasted by downloading, uploading, running through the reports. The best thing for us to be able to do really for you is to support you, is to actually have that data automatically pre-processed so that it can actually be stored in the right manner, in an efficient manner. So that by having pre-processed means that your reports are live, instantly available, and giving you an accurate picture of exactly where you are at any moment in time. So these are things, for example, you've got multiple vehicles around the world, and a lot of the departments all isolate from one another. So if you're in powertrain, you'll be downloading your data, running your reports, and presenting those to management. If you're in instrumentation, you'll be doing the same. Durability, you've got the same roles. So we actually found that throughout the different OEMs or the different departments within OEM, a lot of time is actually spent generating very similar data and not having the ability to look at that data as one voice cross-platform through your different fleets, through your different platforms, and through the different phases of your development. And this is really important because as an OEM, I came from quality. So being in the quality world, the idea is that we've got to kind of reduce the issues and reduce them early. This is important for brand reputation. We've seen now with all the challenges that we face now with this technology growing at the rate that it is, the complexity that Colt just went through on zonal architecture and automotive Ethernet, and the feature sets that our customers now demand. Autonomous driving, ADAS. There's a lot of requirements that are now being governed by industry to make sure that our vehicles are produced, and they're produced to meet those regulations and to be competitive, have the DNA of what all of you have as particular OEMs. So from that, we need a central way of looking at reports to understand, are our vehicles being driven the way that they should be? Are our vehicles being tested the way that they should be? Are we looking at DTC trending across every platform, across every vehicle, and across all different software versions? Are we on the right software versions? All these questions are things that we as Intrepid have had access to that data because we log all of your data. And you've also got edge computing, so you're logging specific types of data for a specific IP that you want to produce. But we don't centrally collect it. We don't give you the efficiency where you can actually have that stored, have that accessible, and have that almost in real time at your fingertips. And so that was a challenge for us. That was what our customers, we saw them having to go through that pain of doing it by themselves manually. And we saw it through our own achievements through how we were working. So analytics for us, we started with looking for a stack. So by producing the stack, this is something that then can be added onto the WiVI customers. There's two factors there. We talk about an ecosystem. Intrepid offers multiple hardware with multiple complexity. So we've got, smaller products with less channels. That's at the cheaper cost. That's the entry cost. And we go right the way up to, complex, more expensive equipment. But they have different features and different reasons. So if you're using WiVI, one of the things that you want to do is you're looking predominantly for root cause analysis. You're looking for why did that engine just have an issue? Why did the EV system not charge? Why are we having these issues? Those are sporadic issues, once in a blue moon. And by using the Intrepid equipment, you're able to capture that, you're able to log that. If you're able to see that, that's where your early detection, early resolution comes in. You capture the event, you can do the root cause analysis. Chris just showed you, we've got all the tools that enable you to do that with data supply. But one of the things that we want to be able to add to that is the ability of, well, I need to be able to track it across all my vehicles. I need to be agnostic to the actual hardware that we've got, and I need to be able to still run my DVC report. I still want to make sure that all the software versions are correct across the entire product range. So the great thing for us is we were allowing you to have our hardware at multiple price points that will give you a complete ecosystem. This was one of the parts for us that was really missing. We allowed you to do the root cause, but if you wanted to have all the reports being generated, we needed an ecosystem that would allow you to generate those reports across all the hardware points and actually not just be focused on complex products for just root cause analysis. You need the ability to be able to put these in your FEU fleets. You need the ability to put these in company cars, quality cars, durability cars, as well as all your testing fleets that are going to have the more complex tools aligned. So that's a little bit of a quick overview. It kind of gives the motivation behind what we wanted to achieve. And now we'll slowly sort of take you through some of the key aspects of what we've got. And then more importantly, Fabio, who's actually been responsible for developing the product, will actually do the dangerous bit, which is a live demo. So as you can see, product vision for us, we were looking for a lightweight, fast, code-free, hardware agnostic, and real-time solution. Many of you have looked for things for fleet management, automated report platforms, and you've got a complete scale between what you need to be able to see, what you need to be able to represent, and how it needs to be handled. That's across multiple divisions. And for many of the OEMs that I've worked with, it's been the holy grail. We've had opportunities where OEMs have actually taken data that was taken on durability drives across the world. So, when you're doing your hot cycles, your cold cycles, when you're looking for the ways in which your vehicles are actually being utilized, not just your developmental requirements for passing certification, but really how are the vehicles used. We've had OEMs that have been able to grab that data, re-simulate that data in order to do advanced research programs and to be able to actually support them in efficiency in developing their software solutions and bringing that to a vehicle software capability in a quicker time. So having this data across the OEMs has enabled people to actually spot and identify, well, what are our vehicles doing? What data is available to us? What more can we do with that data rather than, say, one team only looking at it to generate a DTC, or only to look at it to see how a certain calibration parameter is trending, as you start to scale up during production cycle. What this has really enabled the OEMs to do is actually have a specific team that can actually look on a broader basis and actually find out how, are we able to spot solutions? Are we able to spot ahead of time quality issues? Are we actually seeing inefficiencies in some of the areas that we run within the certain departments? And that efficiency is what's actually led. And we've seen some OEMs now increase some of their productivity efficiency from reporting to actually identifying issues by 30%. So as management, when we start to understand and put a value against those improvements, that adds real value to the data that's been collected, real value to how we're utilizing that data and how we're actually coming up with interesting initiatives across the business on how we can actually better service the departments and the operations with them. So the type of applications we thought analytics would really work well to serve you. Fleet management and live reports. Number one thing, doesn't matter how what your goals or responsibilities are within a department. If you've got a fleet, you need to know where is my fleet, how my fleet's being used. We used to sit in a few years ago in meetings at OEMs where every morning they would have a stand-up meeting just to talk through how many miles they did, how many ignition cycles, what type of problems they actually spotted, were the software versions complete, and just, you know, the general health of the vehicle. You know, those then had to be put into reports. And again, we saw that almost in two and a half hours of the morning would be spent just generating these reports in order for management to understand, you know, the general concepts of what was being handled within that department. So immediately we saw this as a great opportunity. We've got all this data. Let's have that data so that we can actually translate that into fleet management. Everybody knows where the vehicles are at any time. As senior management, you can see which vehicles are being used across different teams. And you can also look to see how things are working in terms of the other reports that you generate in the cycle. So things like performance analysis, predictive maintenance, anomalies. That's really the key, you know, from a quality point of view. Predefined dashboard. So the first thing we're going to offer you is predefined, meaning this is what you will get as standard. These are the dashboards that we've looked at that we think are going to bring the initial value to you. These are the things that most OEMs are going to want to actually see as a first instance. So vehicle management, that's going to go through sort of, you know, understanding the vehicles, understanding your DID reads, so understanding the identifiers on the software part numbers. It's going to help you understand DVC, so DTC metrics. We're going to start to help you with trending. We're going to help you with logger health. So just from our products themselves, we're looking at, is the actual logger working correctly, just like a vehicle? Are you on the right softwares? Is it weighting correctly? How much data have we collected? What's being uploaded? These are fundamental for any group that wants to understand the efficiency of how the test tools themselves are working. That manifests itself to the vehicle level to see the health and status of your vehicle. Then that manifests itself further to things like regulation reports like IUMPR and emissions, for example. From that, we're actually do custom dashboards. So, you know, every single OEM, every department's going to have their own intellectual property. You're going to have your own ways of looking to track and trend data. So rather than downloading that, we're going to give you the ability that you can come to us. We'll create those custom dashboards for you. They can be centralized just for those departments themselves or shared elsewhere within the business. But that will actually enable you to get all of the standard dashboards as well as your custom autonomously. As soon as the data hits the server, it will be pre-processed and made available to you live in your dashboards for you to select the metrics around. Ecosystem. So as I said earlier, we found early on, we've got our actual data loggers. You've got many of our hardware was being used, but the issue that we found was that we had many fleets of data loggers that were on the high end. So Fire 3s, Red 2s, Ions prior to the new release products. And those were very much used for trying to identify and collect all the data to look for root cause analysis. But we have many complaints from the OEMs that they wouldn't be able to use or deploy those across further fleets within the OEM so that you could continue and expand upon the operations that you're doing locally. And so that's why we've come up with the ability to actually have some of our other hardware, the cheaper hardware that gives you more value, but without all of the added channels. So it's more selective to just being able to generate and create core data like the DVCs, like the software part numbers. You know, we call them bus queries, but it will just give you the high level data that you need to make sure that the vehicles are actually being monitored and that you've got the data that you need to judge the health status of the vehicle and the production capability of that. And then the final slide, just kind of showing. So all of this, as Chris said, goes to our WiVI server. The WiVI server is the first place that most of you will sort of interact with. That's because it gives you the direct feature and function set of WiVI with remote capabilities. So from there, you're able to send your scripts, upload your data, collect your data, view your data, and root cause. But from there, we created the stack that will actually have the data that you've uploaded, and that will be sent to a separate part of the system. The reason we do that is because it gives us a better way of efficiently storing your data, especially when you want data over a long period of time. It also gives us the ability to be to have that data be utilized very efficiently. So we can run through the data quickly, which Fabio is just about to show you, and actually show you that you can have your report generated in almost live fashion. As soon as the data hits the server, the data from there will be sent through the stack to our server, and from the analytics server, you will have your dashboard pre-processed and automatically made available. And then we will give you the filter functionalities for you to decide, do I want to look at today's data, the last 5 days, the last 60 days, the last 90 days. And you'll also have other filters where you better check, is this one vehicle, is it a fleet of vehicles? So the idea is that we'll give you the capability to narrow in and focus on the things that you want to, but also give you the holistic approach of looking across multiple platforms, multiple feature sets to understand, are we identifying issues elsewhere? So we really see it as a microscopic zoom in and zoom out capability throughout your reports. But I think there's nothing better than actually looking at a live demo itself. So if there's no more questions from me, I think the best thing to do is for Fabio to show you what we've actually come up with. We're in the development cycle. So as Chris said, this is the first stage that we've done. It was all about the stack. And then from there, we'll be moving on to generating more user interface capabilities. So working more on graphics, etc. But right now, the stack has been developed. It has been deployed through some of our OEMs or advanced users OEMs. And so far, we've had some massive improvements and feedback from them. As I said, some of those OEMs are now claiming that they're having 25 to 30% efficiency improvements in the way that they're reporting. And the engineers are very happy because they can focus more on the core capabilities of their role.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Fabio. I'm the EU engineering manager and the product manager responsible for the analytics stack development. The objective of this quick session now, the last part, is to demonstrate realistically many of the topics that were brought by Chris and Carl into the product that we, especially to expose the stack features, some of the stack features that we want to show you, and that brings value to our ecosystem with the WiVI and with the analytics part. But before I explore those points, I just wanted to make a quick poll. How many of you here works directly or indirectly with fleet management or analytical in-vehicle data or reports generation? Raise your hand. That's a good size. So the WiVI Analytics itself, it's a successful combination of our hardware solution where we solve a huge challenge of data acquisition and remote logging and transmission to the second point, the second product, which is the WiVI storage. WiVI is our cloud storage. It guarantees that the data that has been transmitted from the logger from multiple channels. So yeah, it's a combination of the hardware part, then the data storage part with the WiVI and the analytics core itself. So then having those three solutions combined, then we have the end-to-end analytical approach where the data will flow directly from the car, different types of data straight to our dashboard. So a short summary of what data should be expected in our dashboard. So we currently support basically everything that the logger can acquire from the car. Standard signals, state-encoded signals, diagnostic data like DIDs, PIDs, DTCs, extended data, snapshot data, and also very importantly to mention custom metrics. So what are custom metrics or KPIs, key performance indicators? They are your business relevant metrics or formulas or arithmetical operations that are important for you and your team to make the right decision. If that ECU is performing correctly, if the fuel efficiency or battery consumption efficiency is matching the performance team or your requirements document. So these are metrics that are not directly available in a vehicle bus. You cannot just pull that data. You need to arithmetically calculate those metrics. And that's how our dashboards then make that available. Just give me a second. So then what is analytics? Analytics then becomes for Intrepid is we've designed, we've studied, and we've implemented a highly efficient automotive data ingestion, transformation, and data retrieval stack. So then for automotive data. So we are not a generic analytics platform. We've designed for automotive. And the benefit of that is because it gives you a lower footprint in the server. It does not have high requirements from a CPU or a RAM point of view, nor from a storage point of view. So that's the biggest value we bring. And we've designed our stack to be decoupled from the front end. And the reason I'm bringing this stack is because we will show here today. So we use then the Grafana as a front-end component. Grafana is known as an open source solution, and naturally, because it's decoupled, then you can have your own front end. Intrepid will have our own front end. The objective here was focus on the stack, focus on the value, and the most complex point, the front end, is the easiest part for those who are engineering related. We know that the front end is solvable. So, right, here we are. This is the front end. And one interesting use case that I want to bring just to emphasize what is a metric is where one of our customers brought, we need to calculate the CO2 emissions per trip, per day, per week, and per month. And CO2 emissions is not readily available through diagnostics. So that's where we've got together, we've identified the requirements, we've built the calculation behind of making the CO2 values cumulative or per trip and per day available in our dashboard. Our analytical team that supports the customer define the metric in our stack, and we deliver to the customer. This means the customer or the users do not need to worry about programming. It's a coding-free platform. It's Intrepid that will help you to bring your metrics to reality in our dashboards. Going to the front end. To make sure that I see the same as you. The dashboards then become a selection of important metrics. In a single dashboard, you can isolate, let's say, the scope of analysis. Imagine that the dashboard is your report, is one of the tabs of your report. So in this case here, we have global futures, like what organization do you want to provide to generate that dashboard? What fleet is under analysis? What vehicle will be then the focus of that specific report, and automatically we identify all the signals that have been collected that matches the time frame of that report. So remember, it's a live report, and you are now providing inputs for the reports to be automatically generated. So in this case, we've made a trip. Then we have GPS information. We have vehicle speeds, max, mean, average, battery levels, histograms, and there are different ways to represent the data. So, of course, that's very much a value that the front-end portion brings. But one thing that our team focuses on is the latency of the data. So we are able to ingest year of data with a small footprint. And for example, if we select here any portion of the data, the dashboard will have a very quick response reaction. So I'm zooming in, and you can see the dashboards will be updating accordingly to the time frame I selected. So we had a bigger GPS visualization. So let me zoom out now. And all of the panels within the dashboard are automatically changing. That's latency focus. That's one of the issues with latency. And another point about the analytics value is also the cost of keeping all the raw data from your fleet in your service. So, of course, we have realistic limitations where a few of our customers that have, let's say, 100 terabytes of data, they do not want to cross that line. 100 terabytes of data is already, let's say, the limit. Either it's too expensive or it's not anymore, let's say, valid in terms of analytical analysis. So how then do we provide a way that analytics would give them the ability to even look past, even beyond the 100 terabytes of data that have been available in the customer data lake through WiVI. So we have a compression technique that the customer is available to have the analytical information of data that has been already deleted. So the original source has been deleted, but on the analytical side, that deleted data will remain. So, and it will consume way less data way less space than the original raw information. That's another important point to be mentioned as well. A second dashboard, and remember, the dashboard is a scope of the problem you are tackling. You can define custom dashboards, and we will provide predefined dashboards when you become a customer. So in this case here, we have the IUNPR. For those that are familiar with emission-related topics, IUNPR stands for In User Monitor Performance Ratios. These are OBD to available. It's not a confidential requirement. Your car supports mandatory, and these are used to verify if the emissions in your vehicle are conformant or not. So we've built then a dashboard related to those emission counters. We've automatically identified the counters in your vehicle. If there is an issue, if there's an anomaly that you should have 20 counters, but actually you're getting only 10, we will identify the anomalies, actually not only from IUNPR emissions related, but if your GPS is just sending latitude, if your GPS is sending intermediate or anomaly data, we've designed a way to alert the user via different paths and notify you that something needs to be done, either on the hardware level or on the ECU level. So here we have different ratios and visualization of the vehicle compliance to the emission levels that are defined by the government, yes or no, and that's where the metrics, custom metrics come into the discussion. So that finalizes my short overview of the analytics stack. I invite you also to go to our booth if you want a more in-depth discussion on the analytics overall end-to-end solution at Intrepid. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
So thanks, Fabio. So just to sort of conclude on that. So one of the things that's really interesting that you see here, and it's about the use cases. So listening to the customers, how many, sort of department leads just need to report back to their management, the vehicles that we've got, the DDCs that we're trending, how many burn rates have we got in the DDCs? So as the software changes, are we getting the DDCs to be, are the DDCs sort of downward trending? Are we suddenly seeing a spike because a new software is coming? All this information is finding that needle in the haystack. That's what the value is about. And we've had a couple of use cases just recently where an OEM actually got a vehicle, identified an issue during development, during the durability test. It was just one time. They didn't have a logger connected to it at that particular time. They weren't able to reproduce. So in that moment in time, they actually carried on to production by utilizing this tool then in early production phases with management vehicles, with the fleet test that they had. That anomaly actually reappeared and it actually got triggered as an anomaly in the dashboard reports. And then what is really important from what Fabio's just said, because we've actually collected all the other data alongside in the WiVI server, here we've identified the root, well, not the root cause, here we've identified an issue of interest, something that we want to dig a bit deeper. But also because we've got the root cause data, we're able to bring this back to the real high sample data that we collected, use the tools that Intrepid already provide you, and then actually provide a root cause analysis, and then change the software or deploy that, and then later confirm the problem has actually been resolved. So from a PDCA cycle, from a development cycle through your V models, this is kind of the missing link that we were looking for. This allows you to spot the trends. It allows you through the Intrepid tools to go back and do root cause analysis, and it allows you to get confidence that that problem has now been resolved and is not being seen again later on through production through these reports. So hopefully we'll look forward to speaking to you at our booth, and hopefully we look forward to seeing this deployed across many more WiVI servers and everybody giving them a bit more value and hopefully a bit more time to do the real engineering that we all like to do instead of just the reporting side of it. So thank you very much, and we look forward to speaking to you soon.
Questions?